How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about three variables, not substitution, but elimination. So looking at this problem right here, it says, which variable are you going to eliminate? Now, what that means is it's trying to say, do you want to eliminate x, y, or z from this system of equations? Now, looking at this system right here, the first thing I try to look for is, do any of these variables right here, for instance, these x's, do any of them have the same number? And looking at them, unfortunately, they don't. They don't have the same number. So I would then try to look at the y's. Do any of the y's have the same number? And once again, I run into the same issue. No. And the z's also, they don't have the same number. So what I have to go ahead and do is I have to go ahead and choose one of these variables to eliminate. So I think in terms of variables, I believe I'll do the y's. Let's do the y's. So I'll go ahead, I'll say y's, okay? And then what I'll go ahead and do is I will then pick two equations that I'm going to eliminate it from. Now, the one that I want to choose is, I think I want to choose the top one. Okay, so I'm going to choose the top one. And I will write that right here. So I've got 2x plus y plus 2z equals 5, and then I'll choose the second one. I'll choose 4x plus 3y plus 3z, and then equals 6. Okay, so like the headline says, it says eliminate it from two equations. Okay, so I've got my first one that I'm going to try to eliminate. I'm going to try to get it rid of from the first one. But notice here, we still have that issue though, that it's not the same number. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to multiply this top equation by a 3. Because if I do 3 times y, that'll give me a 3y, which will be the same as the bottom one. However, though, we also not only need to make it the same number, but opposite sign. And that's something we're going to be repeating a lot, that we have to make sure it has the same number, but opposite sign. So let's go ahead and distribute this 3 to each term. So I've got negative 3 times 2x, that's negative 6x. I have negative 3 times y, that's negative 3y. And then I have negative 3 times 2, that's negative 6z. And then negative 3 times 15, or 5 is negative 15. All right, now, once you see that they have the same number but different sign, we're then going to add them together, okay? And let me go ahead and get my pencil again, so add them. So 4x plus a negative 6x is a negative 2x. A 3 plus a negative 3 is a 0, which is what we wanted. We eliminated the y's. And then a 3z plus a negative 6z is a minus 3z. Okay. And then last but not least, can't forget the far right side. We have 6 plus a negative 15, that's negative 9. Alrighty, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write him without the 0. And then I'm going to box him in for later. Only reason being is because sometimes when we start doing these 3 variable systems, we have a ton of work, and so it's good to be able to find key pieces of information. So I'm going to box him in for now, okay? Now, I've gone ahead and I've eliminated y from one of the equations, okay? Just to kind of show you which one I chose. Remember, we got rid of this one, right? We chose this one because we modified the first one to be a 3y, just like he is. Now let's go ahead and get rid of this guy's y, okay? We're gonna get rid of his y using the first equation again, okay? So let's go ahead, let's choose another equation, or the first equation. So we got 2x plus y again. So 2x, and I want it to be not that color. So I've got 2x plus y plus 2z equals 5. And now we're going to eliminate it from that bottom one. So I have my 5x plus 4y plus 4z equals 7, okay? Now, looking at this right here, like I keep saying, we need same number but different sign. And of course, this y, we need to do something to him, right? So we're going to multiply him by a 4. And not only a 4, but a negative 4, because then that way they'll be opposite signs. So let's go ahead and distribute. Alrighty, so negative 4 times 2 is going to be negative 8x. Negative 4 times y, that's negative 4y. And negative 4 times 2 is negative 8z. And then negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Now, we've accomplished our goal. We got the same number but different signs, and so we can now add them together because that's going to eliminate the y. So we have 5 plus negative 8, that's going to be a minus 3x, okay? This will add to 0 because 4 plus negative 4 is 0. And then 4 plus negative 8, that's going to be minus 4z. And then that's all going to be equal to, now 7 plus a negative 20, that's going to be a negative 13. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's write this without the 0, and then we'll box him in. Okay. Alrighty, and then we're good. Now, it says on the next one down here, it says that we're going to use one new equation and one old one to eliminate the same variable. But technically, we've already done that, right? We did that right here in all of this, right? This was this part right here, okay? It's just I put it in this top box because I had enough space for it. But this is us right here, okay? So we could put all that work in that box and we're good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use these boxes that we just found, okay? So I'll go ahead and highlight again. So we have this blue one up top. We're going to use him, and we're going to use this box, okay? Because that was our goal. We wanted to eliminate the y variable from two equations, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rewrite them up here in this top box. So I have negative 2x minus 3z is equal to negative 9. And then I have, let me see, scroll down a little bit. I've got negative 3x minus 4z is equal to negative 13. Alrighty, so let's come back up here. Now, once again, we're going to go ahead and try to eliminate a new variable. Now, looking at this right here, we don't have the same numbers for x and we don't have the same numbers for z, but we can always fix that, right? 2 and 3, they share a number in common, right? They share 6. So what I could do is I could multiply this one by a 3. And I'll go ahead and multiply this one, bottom one, by a negative 2. Now, the reason I'm multiplying by a negative 2 is because I want to have a different sign, okay? I want to change this negative 3 to a positive 6x. So let's go ahead and distribute. So boom, boom, boom. So I have 3 times negative 2 is negative 6x. 3 times negative 3 is a minus 9z. 3 times negative 9 is a negative 27. And now for the bottom. We have 3 here, and here, and here. So I've got 3 times negative x, that's 6x now. And then I've got negative 4 times negative 2, that's positive 8z. And then I've got negative 2 times a negative 13, that's going to be a positive 26. And so now let's add them together. So negative 6x plus 6x is 0. Negative 9 plus a 8z is going to be a minus z, okay? And then I have negative 27 plus 26, that's going to be a negative 1. Now, negative z equals negative 1. We can solve for that one variable, and so z is going to equal 1 in this case. Now, when you solve, okay, for one of these variables, you have the ability to solve for the last remaining variables, okay? Because we can now solve for z, because if you look over here, I know my since I know my z, I can find x over here in this little blue box. I can use that one, okay? And then we can also solve for the last variable, which is the x. Or I mean the y we just eliminated, right? So let's go and do that. So using this blue box right here, okay, on the bottom, I've got negative 3x minus 4 times 1 equals negative 13. And so negative 3x minus 4 equals negative 13. Now I have to add 4 to the other side, so I got negative 3x is equal to negative 9. Negative 3 negative 9 divided by negative 3 is going to be 3, and so we have x is 3. Now let's go ahead and solve for that final remaining one. Now, you have the ability to choose whichever one you want, okay? All of these right here will be able to help you find x. I always just tell my students, just choose the one that looks the easiest to use, okay? Ones with less numbers. So let's use the 2xy. Let's use that one. So the 2x plus y, and then it was plus 2z equals 5. Plus 2z equals 5. So let's plug in what we know. We know x, so that's 2 times 3. We have plus y, and we know z, so plus, we'll put a 1 in there. Alrighty, so I've got 2 times 3 is 6. All right. And then we have plus y plus 2 equals 5. 6 plus 2, that's going to give me 8 plus y equals 5. And then we subtract 8 to the other side, and y equals negative 3. So our solution, when we go to write it, we write it as a coordinate point. And we're going to say 3, comma, negative 3, comma, 1 is our solution. And that is how we do elimination. Alrighty, there you go, guys.